Welcome back. You are listening and or watching Pwnecast. This is episode 34. We are in patch 6.0.3. I am your very, very giddy and excited Warlock host, Belle. You're going to have to forgive me just a little bit because I'm a little bit starstruck. We do have some World of Warcraft royalty ×2 on today's episode, so the nerdgasms might be aplenty today, so bear with us. I have two very special guests today. The first guest is the mage, the mage who spends his days porting trolls on public event to Old Delarian, and that's Rathamus.
That's awesome.
Isn't that a good one? I don't know what Old Delarian is, but Lycan does.
If you've never taken a port to Old Dalaran, it is so much fun because if you don't have a glider, you're dead.
And Wrath has to deal with quite a bit of trolls on the public vent, so we thought that was fitting. We also did bring the Warlock who was forced to sell embers on the black market, and we have Ro from Realm Maintenance.
I can't sell any more embers on the black market because my Rain of Fire doesn't generate any of them.
Oh,
God.
Here we go. Here we go.
Blizzard. That's where my cash was coming from. What the hell am I supposed to do now?
Lycan, how dare you? See, Lycan doesn't have these problems because he's a DK. He tops the heal charts, the DPS charts, the frickin' damage. I mean, everything. He's the best at everything.
When you're great, you're great. What can I say?
He's going to catch that football real soon.
I did also bring the Riders of Rohan with me, and I brought all the Riders of Rohan with me this week. This week, I did make sure that I bring the mage who mirror imaged himself for work, and unfortunately now he's jobless. That's Frieza.
No, that is not true at all. I still have a job. But yeah, no, that's really funny. I wish I could do that. That would be hilarious. There's a lot of stuff.
Sometimes the work done.
There's a lot of stuff that sometimes you think about would make your life a lot better that your character does in the game. And sometimes you're like, man, like I was telling a story where I was downtown Denver stuck in traffic, and I thought to myself, and it really went through my head, I said, man, I wish I had a Hearthstone. Really good right now. you know, and so there is some stuff that for sure I wish I had in real life. See? Oh,
I feel for a Hearthstone with an 8-hour cooldown. I don't need half an hour. Just give me an 8-hour cooldown. I'll be cool with a second grade Hearthstone.
Agreed. I agree with that. I agree.
But good to be here. Good seeing all you guys. I'm very, very happy.
Very excited you're here. We do also have the shaman who pelvic thrusts the hunter pet in raids, Spamburger.
That's disturbing.
Well,
I did. No, she's absolutely like recounting our raid from last night.
It brought a whole new meaning to Doggy Style. I'm just saying because that's what was going on. So.
I hope you at least play a Worgen.
I play a shaman, so she turns Ghost Wolf, and she dances like this.
I guess it's okay. Kind
back of the hunter's pet going like this.
It was equally amusing because his character's a female, as was the hunter, and the pet was female. So it was multiple equally amusing on several levels.
Equal opportunity shaman, yes.
We love everybody here. I did also bring the Death Knight who lost his shirt in a pet battle poker match, Lycan.
I have a problem. I'm so addicted to this pet battling stuff right now. I'm up to about 547 pets that are unique. I want to say nearly half of them, if not more, are rare. I've got over 100 pets that are level 25. I need to go to meetings. It is definitely.
How many pet charms do you have saved up right now?
Nothing, because I keep spending them on the bags. I have to get my pets up to level 23, get them little one-level pet things up there right away, but I probably have collected close to the 500 already.
I haven't spoken to Lycan in like 3 days because my husband calls it his Pokemon thing, where he doesn't talk to anybody in guild for 3 days because he's in Pandaland doing weird pet battles.
Have you fought Sid the Squid every day this week? Or fought the trainer in the Darkmoon Fair to get the squid?
I got my squid already.
I don't.
You got your squid already. Damn it.
First week
I did that every day this week, did not get the squid.
I only have pets.
Nobody's got time for that.
I only have pets because Lycan gives them to me. If it wasn't for Lycan, I wouldn't have any pets.
I know Lycan has a problem because we were questing together one day, and we're sitting there at a beach, and there's this rare that is swimming in the water, and I go, hey, there's a rare over there that's killing. So I start casting at it, and I turn around, and Lycan is having a pet battle with some seashells, and I was like, are you serious right now? I just blinked and ran away like a coward.
How many
He's like,
times
hold
can you
on,
say seashells?
whatever.
It's all about priorities, man. It's all about priorities.
It is.
That's when I knew we had a problem, and I no longer requested Lycan. So,
So let's get right into the news, guys. There wasn't a whole lot of news. When I say there wasn't a whole lot of news, there was a ton of news. Is there enough for us to cover in a 1-hour show? Sadly, that's not going to happen. I don't know if they've officially removed it. Somebody in-game told me that they already removed it. When I tried to get confirmation, I couldn't. The Death Knight cap, where you have to have a level 55, I know that when I first put it on to talk about on the show, they were saying that it was going to be removed, where anybody, if you don't have any level tune, you can go and roll a Death Knight for the very first time. They have removed that restriction.
Because every account I have has like 3 level 60s already, so...
Well, it's not just that. They were going to remove the requirement because, well, since people getting Warlords of Draenor have a free boost to 90, it's irrelevant to have the level requirement. So they were planning to make it effective, like, as of the next set of server maintenance. However, like, several hours later, I think it was Krithto or Rigarius that tweeted that they had decided to reschedule it for an upcoming content patch because there's some client-side issues on their end they have to fix to make it happen. So coming soon, you don't need a level 55 to roll a DK, so whether it's 6.1 or before that.
And dear Lord, I posted this on the Pwnecast on Facebook page, and I thought, okay, this is great. I thought it was a great idea. One, it's kind of redundant, like you said. You get the instant level 90, boom, you can get your Death Knight. But I never thought that I would stir up so much problems and so much controversy by posting this. And, I mean, I've got post upon post saying this is ridiculous. This was a rite of passage. You had to work towards it. I'm going, look, the Death Knight's been out for 2 expansions now.
Yeah, because the 5 Death Knight parties in Hellfire Peninsula are totally worth it, right? I mean, that's a real rite of passage, having 5 Death Knights going through Hellfire Citadel and just blazing through stuff. That's such a challenge. I'm
not emotionally connected to having to have at least a level 55 or 60 to have a Death Knight. It really wasn't a huge, like, I'm going to die now because Blizzard did this. I don't care. What do I care? That's great for people. Maybe people want to roll. I mean, Death Knight, I'm going to insult Lycan right now, but Death Knight is largely one of the most played classes because it is the...
Here it comes.
Dare I say it, but it is one of the easiest classes to play.
Well, I think it's one of the easiest to learn, but also at the same time one of the trickiest to really play well.
Thank you.
I mean, you take a look at a character like Mion, this person who solos like normal Siege of Orgrimmar Garrosh. That takes a level of skill beyond most people.
Correct. And let me disclaim, I mean tanking is hard. DPS is not as difficult. Tanking is not something you can face roll into. I do not mean to diminish the tanking aspect of the Death Knight whatsoever.
I got something to say because I'm going to jump on the Bell saying bandwagon on that statement.
Oh, here it comes.
I'm pretty sure you could run 5 DKs in a dungeon and have no problem. So I think what makes the DK easy is that you don't die, and that's what she's trying to get around.
That's really what I meant.
And people like that. They don't want to be a frost mage who gets hit twice by a crab and falls dead of abuse.
I didn't mean skill set. I meant survivability. They are largely one of the easier classes to level and to play and to learn for one of your first classes.
I even know Ret Paladins. Change subject. Because I even know Ret Paladins. Some of them can survive like DKs, and some of them can't do it, and yet they're safe.
Warlocks are even far more survivable than, say, mages. So, I mean, there are definitely classes that are far more suited to solo-style play.
I have to defend. I'm sorry. I hate to defend all the Death Knights out there. There's a couple things I want to address real quick. One, a Death Knight is hard to master. Once you get him mastered, yes, you're great. And like that, my Luna, I will never be at that level where I can solo Garrosh normal during regular content. Okay? But you put me in a dungeon, you put me in a raid, and I guarantee you I will do my job. I have done it well. I got a level 55. I'm a Wrath baby. As soon as I hit 55, I created a Death Knight. Yes, I did. And that is a tune that I've been mastering ever since. It's not that easy.
You're welcome. That was payback for trolling me before the show to try to get me amped up to rant. So you're welcome.
How's that AOE working out?
I hate you so much.
For Ro and Rathamus, we're usually on Skype for probably about 3 to 4 hours before the show even starts. Right. And we troll each other so hard sometimes. And we're doing that right now to like it, and it's making us laugh.
They try to get me to rant because
it was you for the last 2 weeks.
I always try to pledge to not rant, and they always do it on purpose, and they say the right thing where they know it's just going to where I cannot control it. Wrath, how do you feel about Death Knights?
Well, my problem is that you're going to get some new guy who's going to buy World of Warcraft for the first time. He's going to have his 90 boost, and he's going to see the Death Knight, and he's going to go ahead and he's going to grab that. He's going to waste on something else. He's not going to like it. And he's going to be like, well, I really like this Death Knight. And he's going to jump into dungeons. He's going to go all out, trying to tank, all kinds of stuff. And the people trying to legitimately re-level up and stuff like that are just going to sit there, and it's not going to be pretty.
But they have those fancy videos that Blizzard offers for you to learn your class with the 2 buttons.
Oh yeah,
Hey, watch those videos.
I think the Death Knight video is actually for the DPS spec though.
It is. It's for Frost.
That's why I said tanking. We're gonna get somebody who's gonna go in there and try to be a hero at tanking, and
tanking's not easy. They've changed it too, but tanking, I will not go into an instance where Lycan is not with me or my brother Dominic is not with me. If it's not a tank that I know, if we're not friends, if I haven't Skyped with you and we're not close and you haven't heard me go to the bathroom on Skype, then you're not my tank. You know what I mean? That's
wow.
Lycan, I didn't know.
Wow.
I'm not even saying a word. Dark, I swear, no, I'm just not saying a word.
Dark's usually on the call with us, so there's no harm, no foul.
Same subject.
Let me move on. Tons of PvP hotfixes. I'm not going to go into any of them because there are so many. I don't know what was going on over the last few days, but there might have been drunk tweeting. We haven't really confirmed. Wrath has a theory that there was possibly some drunk tweeting happening on the developers' part. But it's such a mess. They've been instead of doing it all in one nice blue post, it's all over the place. Go to our Facebook page. You can go to Wowhead. Wowhead has them also. Tons of PvP changes. None for the Warlock. Don't care. That's
yeah. Actually, and also if you're really interested in as far as their design philosophy behind PvP, the changes they've made, and also I think Wowhead did an interview with them. If you check out Wowhead, where Brian Halinka talks a lot about Ashran, and apparently one thing that was really interesting to me from that interview is they've said that Ashran is really not living up to their expectations in actual real play. In the beta, it was different because everyone was max leveled. Of course, they were able to have free gear and stuff, and people cared about just the center lane and stuff. Now with Ashran, with people worrying about honor points and conquest points and all that, also the pathing of those big mobs from either side, it's just a whole different story. So they said there's a lot of work that they have to do on Ashran, and it was interesting to see them admit that there's definitely a lot of flaws there.
Making people have to rep grind like you do PvE to get gear is absolutely, here it comes spam is fucking ridiculous that you have to rep grind to be able to get conquest gear. I have a huge issue with that. My arena leader's mad at me because I refuse to gear. I'm not going to rep grind for PvP. Not when I already have to grind for the gear. You're nuts. Not happening.
Oh, come on. But PvE has been doing that for every single expansion right out there. We've always got to get that rep.
That's the nature of PvP. That's the nature of PvE. Why should I? Because here's the thing, and you're right. You're right. I see what you're saying about that, but we already have to grind for the gear. The conquest points don't come aplenty anymore.
PvP doesn't, or PvE doesn't grind for gear?
Well, that's true, but do you have to grind PvE? Do you have to grind for a certain faction to be able to loot from Hymal?
Not
No,
right.
and
no,
you
not
actually
right now.
don't need PvE rep for gear, because the gear grind for PvE nowadays, they move that stuff away from reputations. Sure, you have to grind Apexis crystals, which some could argue is about the same
Right.
thing, but you don't have to worry about reputation being revered or exalted. You can do what you want with your Apexis crystals. So yeah, I do find it really interesting that they tied the rep grind to PvP gear.
I would agree with what you're saying, Lycan, if they did, like, if there was a different type of gear that you could get, maybe a higher item level or maybe something fancy that you would then need to grind. But for your main gear, I think it's unfair.
Aren't you getting gear out of the boxes?
No, what does that even mean? That's a myth.
It's Battlegrounds. You'll get it.
There's a myth. I haven't seen that gear in real life.
It's season 4.
We did Battlegrounds back-to-backs, and I got nothing. But
I rarely PvP, Bell, and I just have to say I actually got a piece of PvP gear from a Battleground.
Thank you. Done.
my only point in this
Hold on. PvP in a BGs, none of that matters. That is primal.
Conquest gear.
Well, I guess it's all technically primal. I'm talking about it's honor primal. It's the Walmart PvP gear.
It's not the conquest stuff. I understand.
No, and I believe that if you're going to do BGs and you want to risk your high blood pressure and then that's. But
I'm sorry. You can get the Walmart gear, or you can get a Heroic Warforged piece of gear out of those lockboxes.
Right.
I've gotten both. So don't discount the lockbox.
Conquest gear. Conquest gear is earned by destroying people's dignity in arena.
True.
And the problem is that, though, is I got 3,000, what is he pointing at?
I'm sorry. All I hear is QQQ. Where's my free gear? I just want to make sure my headphones work.
Okay, we're gonna save this for another episode, so that we don't go over on time.
I'm just gonna say this: that I wasn't shocked that I needed rep to get a piece of armor, but there is I think maybe 5 pieces of armor that you don't need rep to get. So you could get your chest piece, your shoulders, and your feet, whatever. Some of the pieces you have to be revered with or exalted to actually get the piece.
See what happens when I troll Lycan, because now he's got it out for me, and he's going to have it out for me the whole show. But in my defense, he trolled me first.
And then to go back, I know I have my own segment. I know we're going to go to that. But the point is, Ashran, it would make it a lot easier if you were able to farm reputation way better, and I will explain how they are doing that now. But if it was easier, then yeah, no problem. No problem.
The next item on the agenda is Paragons. They are an EU guild. They are the world's first for the full Mythic Clear. Yay, shocking that it's an EU guild. Was anybody else surprised by that? Because I wasn't surprised by that.
There's been... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm a little shocked that it's Paragon and not Method. I'm even more shocked, though, at the showing that Oceanic Guild made right at the start. And even up to the end, I think they finished in like 5th or 6th place. I think they're Ascension, if I'm not mistaken.
It is Ascension.
Yeah, I mean, a strong showing from those guys. They're right now ranked higher than Blood Legion or Midwinter. That's very respectable.
You're right about that. EU, they're a whole different breed of people, and I don't know if it's the tea that they're drinking in London. I don't know what's happening on that side of the world, but
that's my comment. Is
they are in a whole different league with American players. Yeah,
done.
Some would say it's because they're a day ahead of us, but I mean,
they're in the future.
When you have an average item level of 669, it does kind of help.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. So let's get right into some of the fun stuff. I did talk to you guys about Bell's Bites last week. I did get some people that wanted some questions answered. I'm going to shorten my Bell's Bites this week to make sure that we have time for everybody else's segments.
Bell's Nibbles.
Jack did email the show, and he did. He actually is a new listener, courtesy of Roe. Actually, I'm going to read his question, then I'll answer it. Jack says, "Hi, I just started listening to the show right after your interview on realm maintenance. I enjoyed the show, and since you asked if anyone had any questions about WoW, I thought I would send them to you. Between family, work, and other hobbies, I don't always get the time to WoW when I want. The evidence is that I'm still 95, but I do daily garrison duties, and I have 10 level 100 followers. Since I get nice upgrades at level 96 after I complete the Spires questline, I was wondering if you could recommend the best garrison building combinations from a more passive standpoint. He did also mention that he does have a lumber mill. I do have a really good answer for you on this one. If you want to keep your lumber mill, because I do recommend keeping it until you're 100, this is a really good source for you to bank those resources. Now, given your time constraints, what I would do, and this is what I actually did, I would spend an hour of my game time farming the lumber until I had at least 2 stacks of 200. That way, for a week and a half, I would not have to farm any lumber, and I could just log in every day and turn in my lumber. If you have the allotment to do it for an hour, do it. If you want to get rid of the lumber mill, your trading post, that's always recommended because you do get garrison resources from there, and you'll typically farm those in the leveling processes with the sumptuous fur. You'll farm them in your herb shack, your mining, the things that because it changes every day what you need to trade in for the trader.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Belle, I have a quick question. Mm-hmm. You said 2 stacks of 200 on the lumber. Mm-hmm. I thought because it was like soulbound unique, you could only get like 1 stack of 250. How can you get multiple stacks?
I had 2 stacks of 200.
Really? I'm going to have to check that then, because I thought I could only get like 1 stack at 250. If that's not the case, if you can have more than that, then I'm doing a lot more lumbering.
Yeah, I've
actually got, using the lumber mill and the trading post, and doing scavenger follower missions, I'm now up to about 7,000 garrison.
I'm almost at the same. I ditched my lumber mill for the Lunar Fall Inn once I had banked I want to say 6,000 resources, because I realized that I have a resource problem.
Once I hit near cap, once I'm near the 10K cap, that's when I'm going to switch over to the inn.
And that's always a good thing too. But if you do want to swap out your lumber mill, you can swap that out for a trading post, or if you're already once you hit level 100 and you have your more plots, then you can add. I wouldn't do stables. Stables requires daily stuff. It's only useful. I use it as a gatherer because I have a level 2 and I don't have to dismount to gather my herbs. And when I had lumber, I didn't have to dismount to lumber. Stables is going to require you daily work, and if you don't have the time for the daily work, then I wouldn't worry about stables. Barn is the same thing. You have to do daily work for the barn. I have one. I've never done the daily because, like you, I have 5 children and a lot of things going on. So I would recommend making sure that you do have your alchemy lab and your engineering lab, because those dailies are going to give you what you need. So by the time you do have more time to play at level 100, you can just kind of stockpile all that stuff in your bank. But lumber mill, go out and even if it's 200 or 150, go out and get enough for a whole week if you have a good 1-hour session. If you do it the later hours, depending upon your realm, whenever people are least likely to be on your realm, that's the best time to do it. Go get all your lumber, be done for the whole week, so that way you can take advantage. The lumber mill is a really good source for resources on top of your trading post.
And
so, yeah.
One quick thing to add on as far as the lumber mill and just gathering trees, in addition to the time of day being important too, one area that's often overlooked for lumber is in Gorgrond. The very northern area of Gorgrond, there's this area where the Laughing Skull had their village. If you go to that village, people rarely ever go there, and that you will find plenty of regular-sized timber trees, occasionally a large, and a few smalls too. Anytime I go collect lumber, that is the first place I hit, and I always get about 7 or 8 trees in 5 minutes.
Nice. Yeah. We did also have another question from Walker. Walker he has to be our biggest fan. I love Walker. Walker, anytime we post anything, Walker makes sure that he's commenting. His question was literally this: dwarf luck, good or no? Belle's expert opinion. So I would always say no to dwarves because, man, are they ugly. But from a few different standpoints, I do have some good answers for you. One of the things that dwarves do offer is they do get a 2% bonus for critical strike damage and healing. This is really important as a warlock, this expansion, because largely mastery and critical strike are going to be the things that are going to be most important depending upon what kind of warlock you are, but it's pretty much all the same. You're going to still use mastery and crit. They seem to be focusing a lot more on crit this expansion than they did last expansion, according to Icy Veins and Ask Mr. Robot.
I would agree with that.
So for the dwarves, they do have that racial passive, and that is something that if you're a warlock, you need to have that crit. So it's not a bad thing. They do also have the stone form. I've never had a dwarf to know how effective it is, but I can tell you that if you're doing if for self-survivability, if you're in a bind, you can use your stone form, and then of course warlocks have unending resolve for that extra save me, I'm dying really, really quickly. So dwarves,
stone form's nowhere near as good as unending resolve.
But I'm saying, like, if a dwarf warlock, they have both, so they can back to back it. I don't know if it works on a global cooldown because I don't have a dwarf. Do I think visually dwarfs are appealing? The male dwarfs are awesome. I think they're great. The female dwarfs, not so much. They look a little bit like they might be on crack. I don't know what Blizzard was thinking in the models, but
I really wish they would have given the option. I really wish they would have given the option to have them, because in lore, a lot of the dwarves female dwarves have beards.
It's
female dwarf beards.
It's a terrible way to be.
I wouldn't be a warlock dwarf since I've never seen one.
I picked a human because, to me, and everybody knows this, to me, warlocks, symbolize old-style wizards. Merlin, and I'm not saying there's a correlation. I've upset a few people by saying that because they're like, warlocks aren't wizards. I'm aware of that. But to me, when I think of warlock, deep down, I think of old-style wizards, Merlin with the white beard and the white hair. Mm-hmm. So to me, when I made my warlock, human seemed natural, and because of that, she has white hair because I'm channeling my inner
inner calling you Dumbledore.
my inner Dumbledore, or my Gandalf the white, Gandalf the gray, Sour Man, whatever you want to call it. But thank you for writing in those questions. If anybody else has anything for next week, I do have more topics to discuss next week, but that was it for the fan questions. Anything you guys need, email me at bell@pwnecast.net and I'll get you taken care of. We do have a fantastic lore segment from Lycan on Medivh, and I'm going to hand the reins over. We all promise not to interrupt you till you're done, I promise.
Okay, so last couple of weeks we've been talking about Kargath. Kargath, and we've been talking about not Kargath. I'm sorry. We've been talking about the Guardians and what's been going on with them. Khadgar, thank you.
That's
There's the name.
guy.
So we've been talking about Khadgar, and we've been talking about the Guardians, and I wanted to touch on Medivh because there's some things that are coming up in the lore that I'm real concerned about. Where's Medivh? I understand he's dead. I mean, I read The Last Guardian. I understand the goings on with that. And if you know anything about him, you have to take a look a little bit about his mother, Ageman. So Ageman was a Guardian. She was the only mortal to actually go up upon Sargeras and survive. She was able to slay him. When she did, though, the spirit of Sargeras actually entered her body. And you can actually see that in the book. When she walks across the snow at first, she glides across the snow. As soon as the fight's over, boom, she's up to 3 feet of snow up to her knees, and she's having a hard time walking through. And you can just tell the change that happened immediately. So she and Nelissa Rand decide, she needed a child to pass on to Guardian. Goes ahead and gets pregnant. The spirit of Sargeras actually, again, we're going back into the fetal possession.
Are you going to talk about fetal possessions? Because that's awesome.
We are talking about fetal possession. So he actually got possessed. And what happened is during his teenage years, when he was going ahead and getting the powers from the council, he went into this long coma. And this coma basically was a battle between all the good powers that were installed into him by the council, and him fighting Sargeras. He comes out. Everybody thinks he's fine. Med's hanging out with Lothar. He's hanging out with King Lane, and everything seems to be okay. Just a little bit crazy. So if you read a book, I'm not going to try to spoil too much, but you need to read the book. It is a very good book. It explains everything about who Medivh is, why he opened the portal, why he did all these things. But let's bring it back to where we're at Warlords of Draenor now. So we got Khadgar, who has Atiesh, which is supposed to be the weapon for the Guardian. And he's the one that's supposed to wield it. But as you go and do your legendary quest, now I am going to give some spoilers here. When you go for your ring, you've got all your parts, and you're going to go ahead and upgrade it from the 640 to 680. You meet Promi, and you meet Khadgar in the Grand. Promi, of course, turns into a dragon and flies from spot to spot. Khadgar, however, turns into a raven. Now, the Raven was never associated with the guardianship itself. It was always associated with Medivh. So, I'm doing some theory crafting here. Where is Medivh? Has he entered? Because I'm sure he wants to fix everything that has gone wrong with the portal, because you see the good side of him whenever he turned, his spirit is addressing Khadgar before he leaves Karazhan. You see that good side of him. Has he come back? Maybe he's with Khadgar. Maybe he's like a semi-possession with Khadgar to say, look, I want to do this, because again, with Raven, it has always been associated with Medivh. Good, right?
Or maybe Khadgar is Medivh.
That I thought about as well. Because...
Hold on, mind blown.
Well,
go ahead.
If you look at The Last Guardian, whenever he gets that curse of aging, and everything has been, when they updated the characters, okay, that's fine. You update the characters. But if you remember what he looked like in Outland and what he looks like in Draenor, there are some major transformations going on here.
He did a Harrison Ford almost.
Yeah. So, he looks more viral. He looks more younger, and he looks great. But whenever you see
Not to mention, he's wielding Khadgar. At least the Khadgar Warlords of Draenor is wielding a particular staff, isn't he?
He has that, yes. Now, that also brings up a good question. Where's Medan? Where's Medivh's son? You're the guardian of Tirisfal. You don't give that up willy-nilly. You don't say, okay, here, you can have it. Did Medivh come back? Did Medivh go to his son and say, look, I want to fix what I've done. I want to make these corrections. Is Medivh back in the game, but nobody's saying anything? Questions have been come up about Khadgar's appearance in Draenor, and they really say, oh, well, we've updated the character models, but they kind of shied away from every question on it. So it'll be interesting to see further. And we're going to start doing a weekly lore segment. It's going to be outside the show. We're going to have it up on YouTube, try to put it up on iTunes as well. And I want to get more in depth into this, into the theory crafting. Where is Medivh? Why did Medan give this up? Why is Medan just going to say, okay, I'm done? He's never been addressed in game. He's mostly been addressed through the mangas. And it's interesting. Why would somebody give up the guardianship? Personally, if I had all that power and I was the guardian of Draenor and I had all that power behind me, I'm not just going to go ahead and say, here, take the staff, the power's yours, go ahead.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. I'm going to try to do some lore crafting here, or theory crafting with it. I've got a couple people I've been talking to that have been really in-depth in it. Ro made a really good point. So it'll be neat to see what's going on. And one thing that kind of pushed me towards why Medivh might be back is that Blizzard went ahead and copyrighted this particular thing called the Eye of Ashran. Now, if you know anything about where Sargeras' tomb is, it is down in the ocean somewhere. Are we going to go into the tomb of Sargeras? Gul'dan's out there. He wants that power. What would stop him from coming over to Draenor and trying again? This Gul'dan, the last one went in and caught himself killed. But what wouldn't stop this one from trying to come over and doing the same thing? He wants that power. Manaroth's dead. He lost that connection, that opportunity with Sargeras at that point. Why is he stopping there? He's got to do something. So I think, and I personally, this is really put my tinfoil hat on, are we going to finally come up against Sargeras? Are we going to have him some type into the game? This would be really, really awesome, and that's my personal opinion. I said, I want to see what's going on with Medivh. I'd love to see him come in. I'd love to see him interact with this Draenor situation. I think would be great.
Wow. And you guys will be able to hear more about that. We will be posting those on Wednesdays. Have a very in-depth overview of some more lore stuff that we don't have the time to cover in each show each week. We want to make sure that we give you the full amount of lore that he wants to be able to express. So we're just going to do mini lore sections each week in the show, and then also outside of the show that you guys can go check out. We'll be starting that this Wednesday, and we'll make sure that we post it up on the page, on Stitcher, and iTunes as well. That was fantastic. I'm a little mind blown about that whole Medivh thing, so I'm gonna need to soak that in. And poor Wrath, because Wrath isn't a PvEer, so he's like, eh.
Well, it's not that I wasn't ever a PvEer. I was a very avid PvEer way back in the day. It's just with my current occupation right now, I literally work like 70 to 80 hours a week. Plus, I'm managing the event stuff and all the other communities and projects I got going on for the Warcraft people. But it's I have no time to actually dedicate to focusing on anything in particular, and I play all the different Blizzard games, so it's impossible for me. You're saying it sounds fantastic. Isn't Sargeras supposed to be like the ultimate badass of the Warcraft universe? Okay, I do know that much.
He was the original Titan. He was the guardian. He was the warrior that saved, that was going out trying to get chaos.
Now the Titans were the old gods, right?
Not the old gods.
No.
The old gods are something different.
Oh, okay.
These were the ones, when the universe was created, the Titans were to take the chaos, put it into order, and move on. And that's what they did with Azeroth.
Oh, okay.
They came to Azeroth, they made the planet, they got everything started. There were old gods on the planet that were causing problems. They encased them in prisons, and they moved on.
Gotcha.
But Sargeras kind of went nuts. He was kept getting affected by, the what was then not the twist, in the twisting either, but it wasn't the Burning Legion at the time. It wasn't the Burning Legion until he took over, and he said, you know what, F it all, I'm done. This doesn't make sense. I'm just going to destroy everything. And that's where we've got him there. So, yeah, he is the ultimate. And I've got a whole theory craft on that and who's actually behind Sargeras, because I think there's something else out there. But that's a whole different story.
Gotcha.
Right.
Cool.
I wish I had more time to learn more about that stuff, but maybe someday.
We don't have no lives. I mean,
there's so much.
We're raising children and working, going to college, and doing Pwnecast and public event, but we don't have no lives. We sit at home. I sit at home. Maybe I'm speaking for me. I work from home, so I have the advantage of being able to have a little bit of a life. It sucks if you have to work. What does work outside of the home even mean? If somebody told me tomorrow I had to go into the office, I would be like, I'm sorry, can you please hire somebody else? Because I like working from home in my PJs. Freza, you have some Ashran.
I do.
Some Ashran PvP stuff, and I haven't been in Ashran. I'm rebuking PvP till they fix my warlocks, but we have a new official Friza's Pwned in PvP section. I'm going to take that over to you.
Well, okay, so I've been watching a lot of PvP arena, all the famous YouTubers and Twitch streamers, and I watch all these guys, and they're very slow to come out with a video of a guide of how to play your tune, because they're still learning about their tune and how they want to play it. They're stacking, multi-strike, mastery, whatever, critical strike. They're stacking different things. They're theory crafting, all this stuff, and so every once in a while, one of them will come out with a guide, and then they always say in the guide, this may not be official. This is how I'm doing it right now at the moment, but I may change it up, next video. So the reason why I'm saying that is because although I live in Ashran right now, I still don't fully understand grasp the whole thing, but I would tell you what I've gotten out of it so far. So arenas have changed. I mean, have not changed that much. They're still the same thing, the same, 2v2, 4v4, war games to my knowledge, and I like to try it out with you guys tonight. You get the gear. It's about 50 gold a piece. You get an entire set from the head to the feet. It's full conquest gear. That is what it is. So you get all this gear, you collect it, and then you get into a group of your friends, and you verse each other.
Ooh.
So there's no excuses saying, well, because you beat me because you got gear. You beat me because of this. No, we're all geared the same. So you can literally spend about 360 gold, 400 gold at most, and get a whole set of conquest gear and go against your friends. Now, that gear is not going to work anywhere else. So it's just going to work.
Only works in war games, yes.
Yeah, only works in war games. So that's what war games is. Again, I haven't been down that rabbit hole yet. I will. Now, Ashran. Now, that's a whole other thing. So I was talking to Spamberger about this, and when I walk into Ashran every day, it feels like you have these nails that are covered on your head, just nails, and everybody has a hammer. And they just hit the... And that's what Ashran feels like for me every day I walk in there. So I
do you only handle the middle lane, or do you try the stuff on the side? Because when I go to Ashran, I always go off to the sides.
That's where I'm going at. That's what I'm going at. So here's the thing that I've learned is, again, in my personal experience, don't go for fragments off of people. Now, you need fragments to get reputation with the daily people there. There's about 5 daily givers there. Now, what these daily givers do is you don't actually take a quest from them. You're not going up to them and taking a quest. You turn into the daily. You turn them into something. So, for example, there's a mage leader, warlock leader, paladin leader, and these are the quest givers' names.
Do they give embers while they're there when you're the warlock leader?
No. So how it works is you go collect artifacts. You collect up to 500 artifacts, whatever you want to collect, and I'll tell you how to collect those. But first of all, you collect these artifacts and you bring them back, and then you give them to the person. Now you don't have to give all your artifacts to this person. You don't have to give. You can give a certain amount. And what you do is you gain reputation with that person and the Vanguard. Now the Vanguard is the people you need to get revered with to obtain all the conquest gear. Okay, so no matter what daily giver you give,
that's King Rin's Vanguard, right? Is that what it's
correct.
called?
Okay. I believe so. Once
the horde equivalent's called Vol'jin Spear, I believe.
Yeah. Vol'jin Spear.
Okay. Yeah. Once you give your artifacts to them, it increases your reputation with these people, and it doesn't matter which one you give it to. The only difference between which daily person you give your artifacts to is the perk you get for Ashran. So the mage will give you a portal back to Stormshield. The warlock will give you portals to go from the east side to the west side. The paladin will give you some riders to fight with you, and then some of them will call a tree to go out. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with your artifacts, but the main point of the whole artifacts is to get your rep up. So how to get artifacts? So when I first got into Ashran, everyone kept telling me, you got to get it off of players. You got to get it off of players. I slowly realized that not everybody has artifacts. So when you kill a player, you have to run up to it. Keep in mind, there's 100 people where the dead body is, and you have to run up to the dead body and loot it? Are you out of your mind?
You can get goggles that will let you see. They're X-ray goggles that let you see.
There's spam is with his X-ray weird vision, guys.
It's just an item you can buy. It's called flimsy X-ray goggles, and it'll let you see if someone has fragments in their bag.
Sam spent a lot of time in Ashran, so he knows.
He got the story, but how it works is people don't just spawn with artifacts. You collect artifacts. So going after people for artifacts, in my personal opinion, is a waste of your time. Don't do it. So what you want to do is you want to run around everybody down to center. Don't go down to center, ever. I don't see a need for that at the moment. That's
the equivalent to fighting on roads, is what you're saying?
So you want to go around and you want to kill ogres. You want to kill spores. You want to kill all the AIs that are around the area. They drop 1 artifact. Some drop 3, depending on if they're elite. You want to aggro as much as you can because the spawn rate is very low on the ogres. They take forever to spawn. Don't go in alone. It's better if you go in with a team because what happens is if you collect 50 of them and a rogue comes out of nowhere and stabs you right in the kidney and kills you, he takes all 50 of your artifacts and he goes and he gets away with all of them.
Wow.
So,
and I'll tell you right now, rogues are awesome at doing that in Ashran.
Yes.
Just really quick, Frieza, do you know about the buff to get double your artifacts?
Now, all of it is drop rate. You get little buffs, little things that help you out collecting your artifacts. Sometimes you can get a little helicopter that once you collect a certain amount of artifacts, you can give them all to your helicopter, and your helicopter would take off back to base and give them all to the quest givers evenly. So if you see like 5 people running at you and you know you're going to die, let your helicopter go, and then your artifacts are safe, and you can die in peace.
There's just one thing I wanted to bring up, though, really quick, is that if you're Alliance and you want to go off to the sides and farm this stuff, if you go to the side areas that are closer to the Horde base, all the mobs and stuff in that area drop double the amount of artifacts than killing mobs closer to your base.
Right. That's how they get you. That's what they want you to do. But here's the thing, though, is if you don't have a helicopter, you have to run back and turn those in. So if you do go all the way to the end without friends or a healer or anything, and you collect maybe, because you can collect artifacts really quick. It's not that hard to collect artifacts. If you stay in a place and don't get bothered for 10 minutes, you could probably collect 200 artifacts, no problem.
Turning them in before you get killed.
The trick is getting back to the base. So you say, well, you're a mage. Why can't you just port back to Storm Shield? You can, but it kicks you out of the Ashran. So you have to wait another hour to get back in to turn in your artifacts.
Oh. So
there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of perks you can get in the game that help you collect. The daily guys give you these little things. There is double. I haven't had that one yet. I know some people talk about having a chance of getting artifacts. I don't know. I haven't got anything like that yet. But so that's how you get like artifacts. Don't kill people for artifacts. Don't do it. Don't do it. Unless you're a rogue or a feral druid and you can handle 5 people all by yourself, no problem. Go in and do it. Conquest points. You need the cap for conquest every week is 1,700 conquest. It used to be 400 of the conquest used to be RBGs. You have to do an RBG and win 1 game, and then you cap out for your conquest. They got rid of that. Now it's 200 conquest in Ashran. So you can do arena and cap out with 1,500 in a couple hours and you're done. Then now you have to spend the next 6 days in Ashran trying to get 200 conquest points. The way that I found out to get conquest points is kill the big bosses that come out. You get 25 every time you kill a boss. I have gone all the way to the end to their base, and I believe we invaded their base multiple times, and I've yet to get any conquest for that. So at the moment, unless one of you guys know how to collect more conquest points faster than killing bosses, to my experience, that's how you're going to get conquest points. That's another thing. Every day, I believe they reset, like dailies, the bonus objectives. You know, like how you got in the regular in WoD when it came out, you had the bonus objectives when you're requesting. And the second you walk in, your bonus objective will show up on the right-hand side, and you can see what you had to do. Those are in Ashran. So when you walk to a certain place, you'll see it pop up on your screen saying, boom, you have a bonus objective. Kill 15 ogres. Kill this. And you will and after you do all that, you will get like 500 honor points. I believe you get conquest, I believe, too, but I'm not sure about that. I know you get honor points. You get a lot of honor points that way. So don't forget to do that if you are going to go to Ashran. If you're going to wait an hour in the queue, like most people are doing right now, do everything. Get the bonus objectives. I believe there's only, couldn't tell you how many there is. I've done like 3 bonus objectives in one day.
There's 4 available.
Yeah, there's more available. It depends how much you want to travel and how much you're willing to die. If you can go invisible, Ashran is a great place to be if you can go invisible. I'm a mage, so I use my talent. If you're a mage and you go to Ashran, switch your talent to greater invisibility. It'll help you out a lot with collecting artifacts. When you see people coming your way, you always know that you can go invisible instantly, and you can get out. And if you're a mage and you do port out of Ashran, you still keep your artifacts. You just can't turn them in until you queue back up for it. So there's my advice for everybody. Stay out of middle, much as possible. Kill the bosses. If there's no boss there, there's really no reason to go in my opinion. Unless you get honor points, of course you get honor points. By staying in the middle, you're going to collect honor points by killing the other team. That's an obvious. But is it worth your sanity? That's a whole other thing. I'd rather just do a BG or do the bonus objectives every day and stay out of the middle until they fix that.
Go with friends.
Have to go with friends. It's really not going to be worth your time because you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be in there for 10 minutes and you're going to get mad because you can't get past the bridge.
Well, and we'll check out War Games with you so that we can give some feedback next week on War Games and maybe some more in-depth stuff with you going with friends in Ashran. We can definitely check that out.
Yeah. We'll find you friends.
I mean,
it's one of those things where Ashran's what they need to do is make it like Tol Barad. If you guys remember Tol Barad, you got 6 dailies. Before Tol Barad. And then if you want Tol Barad, you got like 6 more days. if you want to bear it. That's what they need to make it, something a little more simple. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of dailies, but I would rather have more of that, more of a construction, what's it called? I don't know what I'm talking about. I need more something more than just bonus objectives, run through the middle,
more opportunities to be able to get the certain things, right?
Yes.
I got you.
Yes, something where you can go in there, because a lot of people have jobs. They need to know what their objective is.
Yeah,
they can't just go in there and like a chicken without a head and run through, and hopefully they get 200 conquest points.
Right.
Hopefully they get honor points. Hopefully they get artifacts. Hopefully they don't die. People need to know what they need to do and how they need to do it.
And just really quickly, part of the things in that interview that I mentioned that Wowhead had with Brian Halinka, one of the key things that Brian Halinka had brought up is that originally their plan for Ashran was to not make everything so written on the wall and described in plain and clear. They want you to explore Ashran and just come across those things through natural discovery and stuff. And they're beginning to see more that people really kind of want it written out for them. How do I get these points? Where do I go to get this stuff? How do I get this buff and this bonus? So it's stuff that they're taking into consideration.
And as World of Warcraft players, we are built for dailies. Yeah, we may not like dailies, but we know dailies.
True.
You know, it's what we know. So if you give me a daily to do, like when I saw those 5 daily givers, I said, yes, we got 5 dailies to do every day. I'm ready to go. And then I find out that, oh, you turn in artifacts to these dailies. They're not quests. Mm-hmm. And then I was just like,
sadness.
You know, and so my advice to you, you know, just go in there with the best hopes. Don't get frustrated. Don't rage quit.
And we'll have more to report next week.
They're going to fix it, guys. I believe it's broken. I'm going to say it's broken, but you need to be going in there every week to get your 200 conquest. You have to get your 200 conquest. I mean, you have to do it. So that's all I got to say. If you're an arena person, I'm sorry. You have to go in there. You have to do it.
That was a great segment. I think a lot of people are going to be really excited that you broke that down for them. Thank you for that, Friza. That was an excellent job. For those of you that don't know, Friza is going to be doing, he's going to start doing videos. One thing he knows really, really well is PvP, so we're going to start putting that to work to make it better for you guys. So he'll be doing that here shortly. So let's get into the guest segments here. The first guest we're going to start with is going to be Ro. Now, most of you know that last week I did refer to Ro from Realm Maintenance, which is his podcast all about other podcasts. He's the critic of other podcasts. And when I say this, I've never really heard him say, hey, that podcast sucked ass. Like, I've never heard him on his podcast be really mean. But I can tell you that if he doesn't mention you, you're not doing something right.
Well, I know now. See, I wouldn't necessarily even say that too, because when it comes to Realm Maintenance, when I'm like covering shows and such, for one thing, what some people have to keep in mind is there are right now, when just talking about WoW, there are about 70 different podcasts.
Tough business for us to be in right now.
That talk about World of Warcraft. Some have been doing it for years. Some have been doing it for days or weeks. I see podcasts come and go way, way often. And one of the goals with Realm Maintenance was to try to give coverage and talk about shows that are big or small, whether they're clean or explicit, where you're the big guy or the little guy, whether you have thousands of listeners or just a couple dozen. If I don't mention the show, it's usually not because I don't like the show. I mean, I have my own personal taste. There are shows I definitely listen to far more than others. But I kind of, more often than not, put my personal opinions and stuff aside as far as the shows I'm critical of. And I try to give as many podcasts as I can equal time.
That's awesome. I was trying to make you the guy to go to, and if you're not on the radar, then you're not important. But I did call you Oprah on the last show, and it was brought to my attention that you're more of the Tom Brokaw. But to me, Oprah's equated with all things great.
I'd see myself more as I guess the Ryan Seacrest.
Ryan Seacrest.
I hate to say that because I definitely don't have the Ryan Seacrest.
More bouncer-ish.
I've got a face made for podcasts and radio, but I liken Realm Maintenance. If you ever have cable and you have the TV Guide channel, right? And you go there and you're looking at the whole schedule of things, and they got those other shows playing in the background in the meantime. Realm Maintenance is almost kind of like a TV Guide channel-ish type of show for podcasts. That's kind of how I like to equate it anyhow.
That's awesome.
What made you start doing podcasting?
Well, I first started listening to podcasts around Wrath of the Lich King. The short version is I did a Google search for instances because I wanted to learn how to get through some of these Wrath of the Lich King instances when it first came out. I typed in the word instance, and that brought me to the Instance podcast, which is, the biggest WoW podcast out there right now. That was the first show I listened to. From there, I started learning about a few other podcasts. It was kind of a snowball effect. It was slow but gradual. All Things Azeroth, Rarcast, shows like that. It just picked up and went from there. And about a little over 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago, I finally got to the point where I was like, I think I might want to try making a segment for a podcast. And I was a big fan of a number of podcasts that by this point I was listening to about 35, 40 podcasts a week. If a WoW podcast was out there, I was probably listening to it. And the job I had at the time allowed me enough time to listen to all those shows. Now I only listen to about maybe 15, 20 a week, which to some people are like 15, 20. I only listen to 2. But at any point, just really quick, I made a segment for someone who's now a really good friend of mine, my best friend Jan. She had a podcast called Something Suggestive. I made a segment for that show. She loved it. It went great. After that went well, a couple weeks later, I did a segment for Convert to Raid, which was kind of teaching people how to make the transition from being a Raid Finder Raider to being a normal mode Raider. And after doing a few weeks of those segments, Jan told me, you should just do your own podcast. And I was like, well, there's already dozens of WoW podcasts out there. What the heck am I going to do a podcast about? And that's kind of when it hit me that, well, maybe I should just do a WoW podcast about WoW podcasts. And that's how the ball got rolling on Realm Maintenance. Since then, it's grown and expanded. I now cover podcasts for all Blizzard games, including WoW. So if it's StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, Diablo, even Overwatch podcasts, I talk about them.
That's epic. I'm a little mind blown by that whole thing. I was not expecting that.
That was the short version.
We have always been huge fans, and really, it's sad that Elida can't be here because Elida would probably die right now. He would just faint on the floor, girl faint, everything, because this first time you mentioned us, remember, Frieza? He messaged us all, and he's all, did anybody hear the show? And we're like, what show? And he's like, Realm Maintenance. And I'm like, no, I haven't listened to it yet. I usually listen to it halfway through the day on Mondays. And I remember Frieza's like, wait, what? Because Frieza doesn't really listen to a ton of other podcasts. He's a YouTube guy. So I remember, and he's like, he totally mentioned us on the show, and it was a huge deal. Remember that?
Yep, I remember making a iTunes profile. I gotta get on this, man. I was eating lunch with Elida. Was that a week ago? Was that last week? I was eating lunch with Elida, and I told him, I said, hey, we were on Ro's show, and this was his face, I swear. And he's sitting right across the table from me, and he goes, what? I go, yeah, we were on Ro's show. He's like, Ro? Are you serious, Ro? I was like,
Ro?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, Ro. He's like, oh, Realm Maintenance. You were on Realm Maintenance. I was like, yeah. He's like, I got nothing to say.
Why did you videotape his?
I should have. I should have
seen that coming.
He was really like, why wasn't I on the show? He loves the show. He really does. So.
What I love about Realm Maintenance, and for those of you that listen to Pwnecast that have never heard of Realm Maintenance, what's great about this is you get your everything. We only cover World of Warcraft. We're not interested in any other stuff. I'm not interested in any other stuff. So Realm Maintenance, they cover podcasts for all. If you want to know about podcasting for any other game in Blizzard, listen to the show. He's pretty funny. He's way more official than we are, very scheduled and organized. We are not like that, but that's part of our appeal because we do have that riffraff. We wanted him to be able to come on and be free reign without having to deal with his timekeeping of his own show. So now comes the gauntlet. Dun, dun, dun. I need somebody to clock 60 seconds at the end of the very first question.
No.
Now, the way that this works is if you don't know the answer, pass. Spam is going to mouth the words the whole time we're doing this because he loves doing that. It's my
well, Rathamus isn't getting his. He got to go through.
He's going to get his later.
Yeah.
We're going to do Rose first. Yep.
Yeah.
So I've got Rose. Who's going to time keep for me? 60 seconds. Oh, you have 60 seconds. If you don't know it, pass and move on. Start timing after the reading of the first question. Who is the first to meet you in MOP that tells you about history and your ancestors?
Walker Cho.
Who is King Varian's son?
Andor.
What are the names of the two shrines?
The Shrine of the Seven Stars and the Shrine of the Two Moons.
Where is it that you meet the Calaxi?
Claxivus. In Dreadways.
What are the panda tribe called that defend Pandaria?
Oh my God, the Shadow Pan.
Name the Shah in the Terrace of the Endless Springs.
The Shah of Fear.
Name the Shah in Siege of Orgrimmar.
The Shah of Pride.
Name the Shah in the Temple of the Jade Spirit.
The Shah of Despair.
Name the Shah of the Shadow Moon.
Oh, I was wrong.
The Shadow Pan Monastery.
Shah of Anger.
What is the name of the PvP island in WOD?
Ashran.
Who is the new war chief of the Horde?
Time.
Vol'jin.
Those Shaw questions rise up, man.
Wow.
I got no words.
He ran right through him.
The only one he got wrong was the Jade Spirit because it's the Shaw of Doubt.
That's right. As soon as I said Despair is the one in Krasarang Waste, in the Temple of the Red Crane.
You totally made every one of us look bad, and we do this for a living. I am very disappointed. I
have to look those questions up. I don't just...
Well, I mean, one of the things is, honestly, when it comes to my enjoyment of World of Warcraft, I mean, I love... At first, when I played the game, I would say that Endgame was everything for me because the previous game I played, Final Fantasy XI, I was a hardcore Endgame raider in Final Fantasy XI. So that translated into WoW, and I was all about Endgame. So when Wrath of the Lich King came out, I loved Nexramas. I loved Old War. But I hadn't played a whole lot of Warcraft in the older games, so I hadn't known a whole lot about the lore. But as I started playing those games, as I started playing Wrath of the Lich King, and I saw this story developing, I became more and more interested in the lore. And the lore for me has become the more of the dominant reason of why I love the game, because there's just so much lore out there, and there's such a rich lore to the game. And Pandaria in particular, I think, really did well with that too. I'm really interested in seeing how the lore plays out in Draenor, especially since it's an alternate timeline and stuff. But yeah, when it comes to lore, I wouldn't call myself necessarily a lore master, but I could probably be an apprentice to one.
Nice. I know that we're going to get to Rathamus, but I hear Moneybags the Goblin is hanging around. Is that accurate? I know Moneybags the Goblin has an Ashran situation, and I need to hear this.
You all want to tell... I want to tell you a story about a place called Ashran. All right? So I walks into the Ashran to go and have me a little PvP. And after about an hour, I decided I was hungry. So I tried to leave, and I went down the driveway and went back into my capital, and nothing happened. For 3 days, nothing happened. I tried everything to get my tune out of Ashran, man. I ran out the driveway. I ran into battle and got myself killed numerous times. I even tried swimming off the island. By the way, if you try to swim off of Ashran, it teleports you right back onto the island. So finally, yeah, my tune was stuck for about 3 days. I finally had to open a ticket and be like, "Hi, can you reset my tune? Because I can't leave this damn place." And it's like hell. It was terrible.
It's wow.
If you were in the guild with him when this was happening, I don't mean to laugh at Spam.
Wigging out,
It was
like,
the
because I
funniest
couldn't leave.
thing I've ever heard, because he's like, okay, maybe I'm out. Nope, I'm not out. I'm still in. And like 10 minutes later, a guildie would be like, Spam, are you still there? And what would you say, Spam?
Every time I think that I'm out, they pull me back in.
We tried summoning the poor guy. We tried getting him in an instance to try to get him out.
Nothing worked.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So when you Hearthstone, what did it do?
When I Hearthstone, it like, does like the magic, like, and your cape is floating like this behind you, and then boom, and nothing happened. Just like
weird.
As if it wasn't my tune, as I was looking at someone else's tune, and they used their Hearthstone, and bam, and there they are, done using their Hearthstone. So I'm a shaman, so I used Astral Recall, which is the same thing as a Hearthstone. Bam! Nothing happened. I used my Garrison Hearthstone. I was like, shit, now everything's out. And I couldn't go nowhere. I even walked like out of Ashran and into Storm Shield and went up the hill and clicked on the Stormwind portal. And like the gear was there, but it didn't turn yellow. And I was like, God damn it!
So weird.
So I managed to break Ashran. Like the first time I took my tune there, I managed to break it.
Sounds more like Ashran broke you.
Yeah.
Because I was very upset because I didn't get to do my dailies. I didn't get to do
what's funny? You guys ever watch Rat Race?
Last week.
You guys ever watch the movie Rat Race? And how the billionaires would bet on people? That's kind of, I bet you, what they're doing in the office. They go, I have a bet. Let's see how long it takes them to open up a ticket.
Let's mess with Sam Spamberger from the podcast show and see if we can't get him to go nuts on his freaking show.
I don't know. I need an old priest and a young priest stat because something's happening, and I think
it would be hilarious being in the office.
The power of Elune compels you. The power of Elune compels you.
I'm not going to say if there was drinking prior to the recording of this episode. We're not really sure what Spam does pre-show.
So I was going to rant about my shaman talents, which everyone says that shamans are broken, but yet I don't know a single shaman that would not agree that the three choices of the three talents, level 100 talents, are useless, broken, and that doesn't do a damn thing. So if you really want to fix the shamans, then do something about the level 100 talents, because I've been keeping like a stack of the book that you need to change your talents at level 100 in my backpack, because I've changed them like 47 times, and the shaman talents all three of them seem to be useless to me. So if you want to do something about tweaking the shaman just a little to make it useful, make that Cloudburst totem actually do something. Make that storm, whatever he's called, Stormy the Storm Man totem, actually do something besides stand there and look pretty. For the restoration,
I heard they have to put a top hat on that storm.
I don't know. He must need some sort of magic snowman top hat in order to do some damage or some healing. But I haven't found that yet. That the storm totem has its own talent tree, maybe like a hunter pet. Oh, that would be cool, actually.
That was the best spam rant we've ever had. That was awesome. Spam has his own he has his own segment now. It's called Spam Burgers Meatballs. You will get the full version of that next week because he's been way prepared. He's got notes for the next couple episodes. So we're going to give Spam however long he wants to talk about all of the Spam Burger Meatball stuff, because Spam's got good stuff, and I think he's the favorite on the show for sure. So we needed to make sure that he got his due. Now we are going to go ahead and switch gears to the final guest, which is Rathamus. And give me just 1 second here. program to bring you a special thank you to one of our guild members at the Writers of Rohan. His name is Velitrius, and Frieza has a special shout out.
Yes, I want to say thank you. Definitely one of our guildies and fan. Was very shocked, excited when I got the news that he was going to buy me a yak. I never thought I would be so excited, but I remember when Balisang was like, "Hey, Velitrius wants to buy you a yak," and I go, "Well, he doesn't. What? I mean, what are you talking about?" It's like, "Here's the money that he already sent me. Here you go." And I was just like, my head exploded. I have never been that person who had a repair mount. I have never, ever, really been able to be that guy, and now I'm that guy. So whenever we have wipes, we have stuff like that, I could pop my mammoth out. I'm that guy now. I'm him. And it's just awesome. And I would have never been able to buy it. It would have never happened. I've never had $100,000 ever in my life. So I'm very appreciative, very thankful. It's a dream come true. It really is. It really is, because I've always seen that yak go around, and I'm like, he's a transmogger on it. I can transmog. It's so cool.
I'll make sure we put that to good use.
So yeah, thanks a lot. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Demetrius, you rock. You really do rock. And we also want to let everybody else know that I also did give gold because the yak is 120K, and we did get 100K from Demetrius, and Dark, who is admin for Pwnecast, also gave gold to help make the mount happen. But it is all credit given to Demetrius for, out of the kindness of his heart, heard that Frieza had wanted a yak forever and made that happen. This is the reason we play World of Warcraft, for players like you. Thanks, bud.
He had me at yak. No.
So I have Rathamus here, who I did introduce at the beginning of the show. Rathamus is the founder of the first World of Warcraft public event. We also have Ron Burgundy, who is one of the admins, moderators. He's the developer of the Rastats website. We've had Rath on the show before, so he's not new to Pwnecast. We've both avidly supported each other. I'm also happy to announce that I have become a moderator because Pwnecast wanted to be involved in the great things that that Rath is doing. So, Rath, I remember when you were on the show, it was Hordwin's AV, and I remember you saying that there was 200 or 300 people on it at a time. Tell me what's changed.
What's changed? God, I'm gonna have to say it's Warlords of Draenor. When they unlocked the new content, it was like a neutron bomb went off. We exploded in population. The first night that the content was released, things were kind of quiet. We were up there a little bit. We saw about an increase of 200% of our traffic. But then the next night, once Friday night hit, all hell just broke loose, and we were capping out at our full 1,000 users, like as early as 6 o'clock in the evening, and it didn't stop until well into the AM. I'd never seen anything like it before.
And you, just so that we're clear, so everybody knows, the World of Warcraft public event is free. Users can go on the public event. You can get with a moderator to request a passworded room for your raid, for your battlegrounds, whatever it is you have going on. There's moderators on basically 24/7. I think there's a small little time window when there isn't for sleep purposes, but literally 24/7 they have moderators to grab the trolls to make sure that you guys are having a pleasurable experience with your event. I did have a few questions recently, and me being on the public event now, I don't even have to ask Rath those questions. There's no lag. You don't have issues like that. There's a small delay when you log in if you're at cap, but there's no lag and delay when you're talking to people. But Rath, so you have your Rastats website. Talk about how those two, how have you brought those together?
We really haven't brought those together just yet. Rastats is still in development. It's still a baby in the sense of what we want to do with it and the features we implemented. So we're more or less we're kind of in an open alpha, so to speak, is where we're at with Rastats. So we haven't done a lot of direct integration with Vent or the community and so on and so forth. It's mostly been word of mouth. Hey, tell people in my games, I've been telling them, submit your characters to the site, check it out, see how you like it, and we're measuring to see what people are clicking on, what they're looking at. And so along the lines of the Vent and the Rastat site, they've been pretty separate as of right now. But in the future, that's going to change.
So I remember when we had a conversation last week in the public Vent, I remember you saying that the daily logins was at like 5,500. What's your recent numbers for that?
Well, before, it was actually, on weekends, we'd hit about 5,000 logins per day. On the weekdays, it'd be about 3,500, which is roughly about 2,500 to 3,000 people logging on throughout the day. Now, we're sitting at a pretty regular pace of about 11,000 users every single day. And at that rate, we're on pace to hit 4 million logins in a year.
Good Lord.
Isn't that a staggering number? When you think about that, World of Warcraft obviously is a community, but you're providing a free service to people who couldn't otherwise afford to get their own Vent or get their own TeamSpeak or their own Mumble. A lot of guilds and stuff, they don't have, I mean, you're spending all your money on game gear and frickin' Blizzard pets and mounts. You don't have the extra money to have Vent and TeamSpeak and stuff. You're connecting people on a massive level, which I remember when you were on the show, I thought that was amazing. And to my understanding, Blizzard has largely acknowledged that, correct?
Not publicly. It's hard for them to say, openly embrace that. But I have a lot of friends that work for Blizzard, a lot of contacts at Blizzard, and privately, from their personal standpoint, they super support us. They love what we do. But on a company-wide thing, they can't really embrace or acknowledge something like that for a lot of different reasons that are hard to explain here. But I see where they're coming from it. There's a lot of liability with that if they were to accept full acknowledgement of what we do and stuff like that. But like I said, there's a lot of support for us, independently from a lot of Blizzard guys out there. So that's been a good feeling. That's been really cool to hear. Actually, a lot of Blizzard employees do use the Vent, some on a daily basis. Obviously, I can't tell you who they are, but
is Lore one of them? Because I'm trying to I'm trying to be BFFs with Lore, and he's not returning any of my tweets or my phone calls or nothing. I just want to meet Lore once before I die. If I can shake his hand and get a picture and possibly ask what hair product he uses, we're cool. We're cool.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Lore, if you're ever going to listen to the show ever, I do love you. Can I find out what's in your hair? Just kidding. Ron Burgundy. What's your role at the public Vent?
At the public Vent, I'm currently one of two administrators, which at any given time can pretty much be Josh or the Rathamus' right-hand man if he needs some kind of higher-up administrative action taken care of. I started at the Vent as just a normal mod like you currently are now, and then kind of weaseled my way in there to the admin position over time.
You had to put in some work, huh?
Yeah.
Wrath works his people really, really hard. I'm just kidding. No, he really does. But his moderators and his administrators, literally, I was training, and then now I'm doing it. I didn't do it today because I took a break today, but I can't even get to anybody to help them because literally, their moderators are on it. If there's a complaint lodged about a troll, in the 2 seconds I'm trying to search to find what room that guy's in, they're already in there on it, have already dealt with it and banned, and I'm just sitting here
I love seeing that. I really do like seeing that where someone's being, stupid and all of a sudden has been removed. You're like, someone's on top of this right now.
It's within to the time it takes me to click. It's done, and I'm just sitting here okay, at one point I'm going to get that good, so I'm just going to sit back and watch the pros do it, and I'm just going to just enjoy the conversation. Okay, I have a question for both Wrath and Ron Burgundy. Best Vent username you have ever seen?
Oh,
and you guys know why I'm asking this, but we'll start with Ron Burgundy. What's the best Vent
Our
username?
guild has some good names already.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of really good Vent names. But I think what off the top of my head, what really stuck with me the other day is I went down. I was just scrolling. I was looking for somebody in the vent, and I found this one room, and like everybody in that room was named a senior Blizzard VP's name. Like it was like Chris Metzen in there, like Brian Holinka. There was all the top dogs at Blizzard. There was like all of them in this room, and you could just tell people were dropping in there to like see if they were the real ones. But it was just like 4 random guys. So I thought that was really funny that they were just pretty much like trolling the event without trolling the event.
That's so legit, though. Like, how about that for following your terms of service?
Yeah, right.
Wrath, what about you? I know you have the best one because I've heard it.
Yeah, well, one thing that we do is we actively monitor the user base to make sure that aesthetically, when you're scrolling through the channels and names, we want to make sure that what you're seeing is appropriate for most people. You have the choice to be in a channel if someone's being foul or offensive, or whatever. You have the choice to mute that person or leave. But when somebody has a bad comment or username or something like that, we monitor for that because we want to make sure that that at a glance, the event looks clean, it's appropriate for people to use.
Sure.
And one day I noticed a gentleman had logged on, and his name was free blowjobs. And
Nice.
I dropped in and talked to this gentleman, and I we usually give people an opportunity to change their name. We don't want to see people banned from the service. It's the last thing we want. We want it to be there for everybody. So I dropped in and I said, hey man, your name is pretty inappropriate, the sexual reference and everything. I'm gonna have to ask you to change it. And he had no problem with that. And he actually came back. And when he came back, I think it took me about a good 3 minutes to stop laughing when I saw the name he came back with, because he came back with the name Free Lower Body Mouth Hugs.
I can't even stand how funny that is.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
That is great.
and we left it. It was appropriate. I was like, he met
That's the kind of guy I want in my guild, because he thought so out of the box that really, what could you say?
That sounds way more creepier than just blowjobs.
And yet it's totally PG.
Yeah. It is.
Totally. Spam got so excited his video went off.
Hope that didn't freak anything out.
Did I break it?
There you go.
there you go. Yeah, it was hilarious. We let it go. That was the best one I've ever seen.
That's really funny.
So you knew that we were going to have you on the show, and you knew that there was a gauntlet coming. Now, Ron Burgundy is not going to have to be forced to hear the gauntlet because he's my buddy.
Guy.
Me and him are on. We're not equal because he's an admin, but we're buddies, and I'm going to butter up to him because one day I want to be an admin too. So Ron's not going to have to do the gauntlet, but I believe Fries has got a really hefty gauntlet, and I hope you're ready, Raph. I do. I'm going to get the clock.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's turning his head.
He's so scared right now.
Don't worry. The questions are not that hard. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for these questions. I had a lot of time to prepare for these questions. I didn't spend a lot of time preparing these questions. So the next person who comes in and is going to get the PvP questions, they're going to have a big issue. So I think you're getting a soft questions, in my opinion.
60 seconds. I will start timing down as soon as you finish the first one.
I don't have that much questions, so I may have to hop on to the other questions if he blows through them faster than I think.
Well, let's see if we get to that point.
So let me bring up the other trivia questions before we do anything, because I want to have both trivia questions ready to go. Give me a second.
I'm gonna feel so bad if I don't get any of these.
Now they're PvP,
they're not that
so
hard.
she told me that you're all, I know you're PvP, so I hope some of these are going to be kind of old. So let's see if you remember.
Let me know when you're ready. Or are you loading it up?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. Go ahead and start now.
Name all 5 bases in Aradia Basin.
Gold mine, lumber mill, blacksmith,
Come on.
farm, and stables.
What are the names of the 2 main bosses in Altic Valley?
Drek and Vandar.
And Altic, what are the 2 animals found in Altic Valley that are faction based?
Altrak Rams and Frostwolves.
Name the 2 bases in Tolbaron. Name 2 bases in Tolbaron.
I've never been to Tolbaron.
Oh, name the 2 capture the flag BGs.
Arathi Basin, or excuse me, Warsaw Gulch, and why am I being? I play AV. Skip.
What is the new 40 versus 40 BG and WAD?
40 versus 40 BG and Torn Mill versus South Shore.
Where is the arena in Delarian?
The arena in Delarian Sewers.
Time's up.
Oh, he got it. He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He got 5 right out of. He's got 1 wrong.
6 out of 7.
Second captured the flag one.
Yeah, Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I thought.
Technically,
See,
but,
you didn't do that bad.
Point of order, I would say Eye of the Storm is also a capture the flag.
I was going to say Eye of the Storm. I was.
It's not necessarily capture the flag. Yes, you don't win
Yes,
off
it
of the
is,
flag.
because it's
kind of
territories
is
and
capture
capture
the
the flag.
flag.
If you ask
Technically,
the
it is
fucker,
capture
you
the
went off
flag.
the flag.
It's
I will
territory.
accept that answer.
Okay, maybe I'll get half points if you would have said that. But
Okay.
he knew what I meant.
So, as we're wrapping things up, tell us what the future holds. I'm privy to some of the future stuff because I know that there's expansion that's happening, but is there anything that you can tell people that are involved with, that log on to Public Men? Is there anything that you can talk about as far as future changes to increase the cap to 1,000? I know that you're working, everybody in the staff is working really hard to make it where we can have more people on.
Well, the big news, the really big news, and this is going to make a lot of waves, is that we're actually looking at switching to TeamSpeak and eventually phasing out the vent server. Being an undeveloped platform for many, many years, it is stagnant. It's full of security flaws and issues. It's not going to be able to serve our purposes anymore. We're essentially trying to play WoW on a Windows 95 machine. We need to update. And we've been looking at the options, and TeamSpeak is looking the most promising when it comes to management feature-rich things and integration, most importantly, integration, and scalability is huge. We've been talking with TeamSpeak representatives, marketing director for North America, and we've been assured that we can literally, sky's the limit on what we can support. So if we really needed to and grew to that point, we could theoretically support the entire World of Warcraft population on TeamSpeak servers. Maybe not necessarily one for load balancing purposes. We want multiple servers. But we have the solution to manage that efficiently, even with a limited staff through automation. But that's the biggest section of news. And what's really cool is that TeamSpeak has actually offered to do a 1,000-slot sponsorship for free just to get us started. So that's really exciting. I've already talked to Typefrag, who is our current sponsor now, and they're willing to host it on their network, offering up the machines and the bandwidth to support it. So we're going to be sponsored by TeamSpeak and then powered by Typefrag, and we're going to be able to grow. I mean, like I said, the sky's the limit. However many people need to log on, we're going to make it work the best we can.
Awesome. So, I'm excited. And I get to be involved in little minuscule parts of that, being a moderator, but I'm excited for the growth and expansion. My guild also switched to TeamSpeak, courtesy of our representative. I also got, Ponecast did get a sponsorship for, I don't remember how many people it is, but we also use TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak's awesome. We're using it every day with the guild. I'm really excited for the changes with the public vent. I think you guys have done an amazing thing. I know that Ron has had a hand in helping you do stuff with the he's helping develop the website. You have an amazing staff of people. We just want to tip our hats to you and thank you for putting back into the community. You did this yourself for a really long time where it came out of your own pocket, and I know that was really rough for you, and now people are starting to recognize that, so Typefrag is sponsoring and all these things because they want to get behind all the good that you're doing with connecting people on Vent and hopefully TeamSpeak soon. Publicvent.org, everything you need. Click the Get Started. Everything you need's on there. There's no password. It's as simple as click in and go. If you troll, you will get banned, and I'm talking 2 seconds. So don't even bother trying to troll. I know that I have some trolls that listen to our show, and they're probably fans of Lycans because Lycan's a troll. But I want to thank everybody for being on our show. Hope to have you all back. I had an amazing time. I know we are way, way over time, and I apologize for the slightly longer show. Let me try to find my words. To check out Row, you go to realmmaintenance.com. I don't really have to talk about Row because everybody probably already listens to Row anyway, but
there's a hyphen in between.
There is a
hyphen. Go to
realm-maintenance.com. I will link it at the bottom right here. So realm-maintenance.com. You can listen to episodes. He does the weekly podcast roundup. Everything is on there, including past episodes. Make sure that you subscribe to him on iTunes also, which I do on my phone, and you'll get them right to the phone. You can email him. I don't like saying that because with somebody like Ro, I mean, the emails might never, ever stop. But
no, people are more than welcome to email me.
He loves the people and he loves the community, and we're really happy that he was on the show, and we're happy that Wrath was on the show along with Ron Burgundy. Publicvent.org. Wrath is also one of the admins for the huge World of Warcraft group. You can find him there also. Wrathstats.com. The website's currently being beefed up and working on doing some good things. Thank everybody for being on the show. Wow, what an amazing show this was.
I had one story to end off of. I know we usually give advice of how to make the best game for you. Were we going to do that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
It was so star-studded, this episode,
right.
that my bearings weren't there.
Well, then I will end it with a great story that I had this morning doing a dungeon. So, quick story.
The dungeon that he never does, by the way.
We're doing this dungeon, and a hunter, we're doing Everbloom, and this hunter keeps running over flowers. No matter how many times we walk past him, the hunter keeps aggroing everything in the whole dungeon. So this goes on for a good 5-8 minutes. He's just aggroing everything. So I whisper him in a very, very polite way, and I said, hey, hunter, you are always aggroing everything. If you haven't noticed, if you want to be a better person, don't aggro, thank you, not being a dick, but really being a dick. So then he texts me back and he goes, I said it very nicely. I didn't like scream at him or anything like that. I had a smiley face at the end of it too. So then he texts me, he whispers, yeah, it makes a big difference. He whispers me back and says, hey, thanks for not being so mean to me. I'm sorry that I'm just a big screw-up. And I go, no, you're not a big screw-up. I was like, you're doing fine. I go, you're doing fine. I said, just don't step on the flowers. I go, if we pass a mob, don't aggro it, you know. He goes, what did he say to me? He goes, well, thanks for pointing it out to me. And I appreciate it for you not yelling at me. I'm always being yelled at for being a screw-up. And I was like,
well, now you know what?
Now I feel like crap. So the whole thing goes by, and the whole thing, we're at the last boss and everything. And he stopped aggroing. He stopped doing all that. He managed it. And so, and we ended everything with a smiley face, by the way. The whole chat we had, smiley face.
You should have
Because you can insult somebody as long as you say just kidding. It's not valid.
Right. Correct. So then at the end of it, right at the end, he goes, hey, don't be a dick. And he left. I love that guy. He didn't say nothing for 10 to 15 minutes. He didn't say a word to me after our little talk. And then the last thing he says to me is, hey, Friza. I was like, what? Don't be a dick. And he just takes off.
That's awesome. That's way better than ending it with the advice for the week, because I think that was pretty great.
I would love to be friends with that dude. It was awesome.
Thank you for joining us. All the links will be down here to all the various places, and for everybody that we had on the show. If you listen to us on iTunes, please give us a review. If you love us, tell us you love us. If you hate us, tell us you hate us. No bad press is all press is good press. So if you're listening on Stitcher, let us know. Email us. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Pwnecast. Thank you for spending this extremely longer than normal hour with us, and everybody's showing off their shirts. I have Green Bay. It's my husband's shirt. It's a freaking Saturday. I'm wearing PJs. I don't even care.
You should show that off, too.
Thank you, everybody, for being on the show. That's all we have today, folks. Bye.